You know what hurts more than betrayal? It's being erased like you never mattered. My name was gone from family photos. My birthday? Forgotten. Even my late mother's keepsakes vanished from the house. At first, I thought it was just grief, that maybe my dad was struggling to move on. But then I saw my stepmother standing where my mom's picture used to hang, smiling like she owned the place, like she had always been the one. That's when I knew she wasn't just replacing my mother. She was trying to delete me. Completely. What she didn't know was that I had something she didn't. My mother's final letter, hidden away, with a secret that would destroy everything my stepmother built. So if you're wondering how I went from being the forgotten child to the one holding all the power, stay right there. This is the story of how I turned quiet pain into a brutal revenge she never saw coming. I was only 11 when Dad remarried. My mother had passed just 2 years before, and though her absence still clung to every corner of our home like a ghost, he said he was ready to move on. I wasn't. Not even close. Her name was Lillian. She had perfectly manicured nails, always wore perfume that lingered even after she left a room, and smiled in a way that felt just a little too practiced. The first time I met her, she crouched down to my eye level and called me sweetheart like she already owned the role. I remember thinking, that's my mom's word. At first, it was subtle. Little things. My mom's favorite teacup went missing. The family photo on the hallway table was replaced with one that didn't have my mom in it. Dad didn't notice, he was too busy trying to rebuild, to feel normal again. But I noticed. Every time Lillian touched something that belonged to Mom, I felt like a thread in the fabric of our family was being tugged loose. One afternoon, I came home from school and found my mother's piano gone. Just gone. It was old, Lillian said lightly, flipping through a magazine like it didn't matter. No one was playing it anymore. But I played it. I played it every night when I missed her. That was the first time I locked myself in my room and cried until I fell asleep. Over the years, she got bolder. By the time I was 15, my room had been moved to the attic so she could convert the downstairs into a reading lounge. Dad thought it was a practical idea. I thought it was exile. My high school graduation? She told my dad it was too expensive to throw a party. But I found the receipts for the lavish spa weekend she booked for herself that same week. I was invisible at my own celebration. And yet, I kept quiet. I swallowed every slight, every insult wrapped in politeness. I told myself I'd leave for college soon, and that would be the end of it. But Lillian wasn't content with just pushing me out. She wanted to rewrite the family history, and I was an inconvenient footnote. One day, while cleaning out the basement, I stumbled across an old box tucked behind the shelves. Inside was a stack of my mom's journals, her handwriting delicate and looping across the pages. I didn't even know these existed. Hidden beneath them, in a sealed envelope, was a letter addressed to me. It was dated 3 days before she died. My hands shook as I opened it. In it, my mom told me how much she loved me, how proud she was, and then she warned me. Lillian is not who she seems, it read. I see the way she looks at your father. If something happens to me, protect yourself. Trust your instincts. I sat frozen, the weight of those words hitting me like a wave. My mom had seen it. She'd seen the storm coming. She had known. That night, I stared at Lillian across the dinner table, her smile as polished and cold as ever, and I realized something terrifying. This woman had been planning her takeover before my mom was even gone. She didn't just want a place in our lives. She wanted my mom's life, and she was almost done taking it. But she had made one mistake. She left me standing, and I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. College became my escape route, but even that came with strings. My father, once so proud of my ambition, suddenly tightened the purse strings. Lillian convinced him I should take out student loans like everyone else. She called it character building. I called it cruelty. I worked 2 part-time jobs, juggled coursework, and learned to survive without the safety net I'd always expected. But with distance came clarity. Being away from that house, from her whispers and her perfume and her fake smiles, I started to see just how deeply she had dug her claws in. My father was no longer the man who used to make pancakes every Sunday. He had become a stranger with hollow eyes and rehearsed laughter. He had let her consume the version of our family that once existed, and now she was digesting it in front of my eyes. During my junior year, I came home for Thanksgiving. Lillian greeted me at the door with a smirk. My mother's portrait, the only one I had begged Dad to keep, was gone, replaced with an abstract painting. Cold, faceless. It didn't match the new aesthetic, she said, brushing past me. That night, I confronted my father. "Where's Mom's photo?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked at me like I'd asked about a stranger. And that's when something inside me snapped, not out of rage, but resolve. If she could erase my mother from his memory, she could erase anything, even me. But I had something she didn't: truth. And I was done hiding it. I began collecting pieces. Every document, photo, and recording I could salvage. I scanned pages of my mom's journals, backing them up in encrypted folders. I made copies of the letter she left me. I even went back to old neighbors who remembered Lillian from before the marriage. One of them told me something I'll never forget. "She used to visit your house before your mom passed." The blood drained from my face. "Are you sure?" I asked. She nodded. "I thought she was your dad's co-worker." Suddenly, the timeline clicked. Lillian had been circling for longer than I thought. She didn't step into our lives after tragedy. She was already waiting in the wings, ready for the curtain to fall. My senior year, everything changed. My father had a minor stroke. Nothing too serious, but it was enough to spark talk of estate planning. Lillian, ever the opportunist, pushed for changes. She didn't think I knew. But I still had access to our family. Lawyer's contact was a friend of my mom's, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. When I reached out and asked about the will, he hesitated. "I probably shouldn't be saying this," he told me. "But your mom left instructions. She wanted you to be the primary beneficiary. Everything was meant to go to you after your father's passing." My breath caught. "And now?" "It was changed recently," he admitted. "Everything's in Lillian's name," your father insisted. My hands clenched around the phone. Lillian hadn't just tried to erase my past, she was trying to steal my future. But I wasn't that scared little girl in the attic anymore. I was a grown woman with a purpose and a plan. I started documenting everything. Every email she sent under Dad's name. Every financial move. I installed a discreet camera during a visit, disguised as a picture frame, and captured hours of footage. It wasn't long before I had what I needed. Proof of coercion. Evidence of financial manipulation. Even one video where she admitted, while on the phone with a friend, that she had convinced the old man to leave the brat nothing. That was her word. Brat. My mother's daughter. And in that moment, she sealed her fate. Because now, I had leverage, and I was ready to use it. I waited for the perfect moment. Not out of hesitation, but calculation. I wanted her guard down, her world polished just enough to shatter. My opportunity came sooner than expected. Lillian threw a grand charity gala at our family estate, a night of glitz and self-congratulations, where she stood at the center of it all, gleaming in designer silk like she'd been born into the legacy she stole. She invited politicians, business partners, distant relatives, every one she wanted to impress, including me. She didn't know I'd show up, or that I'd come armed. I arrived late, deliberately, wearing my mother's old sapphire necklace, the one Lillian swore she couldn't find years ago. Her smile cracked the moment she saw it. I walked in like I owned the place. Because truthfully, I did. I found my father seated quietly at a side table, dazed and quiet, barely following the conversations around him. He was thinner, slower. Lillian had worn him down like water against stone. But I still saw the man he used to be, buried somewhere behind those tired eyes. I gave him a gentle hug, leaned down, and whispered, "Dad, I'm going to fix this. I promise." Then I took the mic, right in the middle of her toast. "Excuse me, everyone," I said, my voice steady over the roomful of murmurs. Lillian froze, wineglass halfway to her lips. "I'd like to share something with you all tonight. A story. About legacy, lies, and letters." I pulled out the printed copy of my mother's final letter, the one she'd hidden for me, the one Lillian never knew existed. I read the first few lines out loud. Gasps. Someone dropped a fork. I saw Lillian take a half step forward, then stop herself. I smiled, locking eyes with her. My mother feared she wouldn't make it, I said. But what she feared more was being replaced by someone unworthy, someone who planned their rise before the throne was even cold. And then I played the video, the one where Lillian laughed into her phone, saying she'd convinced the old man to leave the brat nothing. It echoed through the speakers like a gunshot. There was no turning back. The crowd turned to her. Whispers swelled. Faces shifted. And Lillian, she finally cracked. That video is fake, she snapped. She doctored it. She's lying. But no one believed her anymore. I handed my lawyer the full drive of files. The documentation, the evidence, the witnesses, everything. She was done. Over the next few months, the fallout was glorious. My father, now fully aware of the manipulation, reversed the will. Lillian's assets were frozen. Her social circle evaporated like fog in sunlight. And the house? It returned to its rightful heir. Me. She tried to fight, filed lawsuits, gave interviews, claimed elder abuse and forgery. But every lie she told unraveled with every piece of proof I released. I didn't just take back my family's name. I made sure her name would never be mentioned again, at least not with admiration. As for my father, it took time and forgiveness. He apologized more than once, each time quieter, sadder. He still calls me kiddo sometimes, like he used to. And now when he talks about my mother, he remembers, because her photo is back where it belongs. Her journals sit on the shelf. Her piano? I brought it home. I play it every night. For her, for me, for the girl who refused to be erased. Lillian tried to wipe my existence like a name off a whiteboard, but I carved mine in stone. She thought she could silence me. Instead, I told the story so loudly the whole world heard it. And now, she regrets ever trying.